New numbers from the CDC shows the opioid crisis is still causing death and destruction in the Buckeye State.
Hello, listeners of the Doomed Planet podcast, episode 63. We're just going to talk about some random obituaries this time. Not enough famous or infamous people are dying. So I went back to my old hometown in Appalachia, Athens, Ohio, to the Jaggers and Sons Funeral Home. That was on my street where I grew up, still is. And I went to high school with Jamie Jaggers. So yeah, this should be fun. It's also pretty depressing. I left Athens in the 80s, and people are dying in Athens from things that they weren't dying from in, say, 1984. They didn't introduce high fructose corn syrup until the mid-'80s. And, the epidemic of obesity in Appalachia it's off the charts. So people are less healthy. And also what we'll be talking about today, the drugs. There were always drugs. We were boozing it up and smoking pot in high school. There were probably hard drugs around, but it just is not the same as now with this epidemic. So you see a lot of young people dying needlessly. Meanwhile, the Sackler family, creators and marketers of OxyContin, they didn't take away all their money, only some of it, and they're not in jail. One person who probably did not die of a drug overdose was someone I went to high school with and graduated with, David Bush. And I don't know, he didn't fit in. He seemed kind of slow in a way. Yeah, and didn't have a lot of friends. And I guess his parents were the publishers of the local newspaper where I was a paper boy. Says in his obituary, he died September 10th, 2019, that he worked at the Athens Messenger. And he was an Eagle Scout. So that's sad. I mean, you're in your, 50s and you die. I mean, it happens to all of us. Not necessarily when we're in our 50s, though, hopefully. I see that David was born in July of 1965. That makes him very young for being in the grade he was in. And I know that because I am a year older than him, and I was one of the youngest people in my class. So maybe that's why or some people mocked him for being slow. Joseph Roth was born in 1993. He died on October 2nd of this year. Joseph Hamblin Roth, 27, of Athens, died Saturday of an accidental drug overdose. He struggled long and hard with addiction and was working to get his life back. He leaves behind his mother, Nancy. He lost his father, Barry, in 2008. I knew a lot of kids like Joseph Roth growing up. They're fuck-ups and they can't get their life together, and their parents are like geniuses. Athens is a college town. That's where Ohio University is. Joseph's dad, Barry, died of a brain tumor. He was born in Brooklyn, and graduated Brooklyn College, attended Stanford, where he earned a PhD concentrating on the 18th century novel. He achieved the rank of full professor. That's not easy to do these days, if not impossible. Again, this guy is a boomer, so his life is easier. He taught for several years in Ohio prisons.
It's an epidemic being made worse by the pandemic. Drug abuse. Today is the first ever Ohio Overdose Awareness Day, and it's proving to be extremely timely.
So yeah, Joseph Roth, an Athens kid, graduated from Athens High School. He's buried next to his father. And it didn't do much. I mean, in this world, you don't have to be this overachieving dick that is some multi-talented, brilliant person. You can just be a normal person, and even that is hard enough. And this guy, his LinkedIn page shows he was, self-employed landscaper, and that's an honorable job. And Again, you don't want to wish addiction on anyone unless it's an addiction to chocolate, which I kind of have, and coffee, because if I don't have coffee, I become irritable.
Follow me into darkness. I see deep into your psyche. You love the sickness, the torment, the horror.
So you got two causes of death that didn't quite exist in the same form when I was living in the small town of Athens. Those would be COVID and drugs everywhere, opioids everywhere, cheap, available, so many people addicted. Mental health care has been outsourced to heavily armed police. I mean, things have gotten really bad for people. Imagine living in this small town of 30,000 people, and if you're not working at the university, there's not a lot of industry or opportunity. And, it's desperate. You can see why people want to party and get high more than they would elsewhere, I guess, although drugs are everywhere. Drugs are everywhere. That brings us to the sad story of Jacob Gilmore, 1995 to 2020. He died unexpectedly at his home. He graduated from high school in 2014, Athens High School. By the way, the most famous graduate by far, it's not Atul Gawande, who is, the health writer for the New Yorker. We won't go into him right now. And it is Joe Burrow, quarterback and football star. When I went to Athens High School for those 4 years, I think our football team won maybe 6 games over 4 years. So he was on the soccer team in high school. Again, he's too young to have done anything much. And he's a graphic designer at Minuteman Press. Okay, that's cool. And he worked at University Tees, which is this really cool T-shirt shop that does, the owner there does original art and stuff. He loved creating art and hiking, music festivals, and longboarding. He's survived by his mom and a brother. His other brother, Austin, died before he did. There's the saddest line in this obituary. Due to the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, a celebration of Jacob's life will be held at a later date. Can you imagine? You can't even have a funeral with your family for your 25-year-old son.
What the blazes?
I am the doctor. I am the only one that can save you.
So that was a sanitized version of Jacob Gilmore's story. But if you go to jacobgilmorememorial.com, you find out he died of a drug overdose. Jacob was a social butterfly. He loved his family and friends more than anything. His smile could light up a room. He had huge dreams of moving to Washington or Oregon and pursuing his graphic design career and joining several friends who had already relocated out there. That is just heartbreaking because that is my story. That is what I did. Now I'm in Seattle.
After having an overdose,
It's like a blink of an eye.
many people don't get the chance to describe what it felt like afterwards.
This is from the Athens News. It's an alt weekly newspaper, January 31st, 2018, waging the war against overdose deaths in Athens County. The illustration is of a couple baggies of what looks like black tar heroin. So it's more common on the West Coast, but I guess that's the stuff from Mexico that comes up. So it's not all a clean, nice OxyContin pill. Over the last 7 years, 66 people have died in Athens County as a result of overdoses. many of those due to abuse of opioid drugs such as heroin. Here's a helpful chart. Opioid overdose deaths per 100,000 people in Ohio and in the United States. You see from 1999 to 2008, they're equal numbers. And then suddenly it goes up and up and up. It's skyrocketed by 2018 compared to the rest of the United States. Okay, that's enough about how everyone is going to die either of old age, a horrible disease, or an overdose. There's no way out of it. Let's look at Seattle elections. I have my ballot here. There's a lot of stuff. Advisory vote number 36. Advisory, I don't know where our voter's guide went. I think it got thrown out. King County Executive. Do we want Dow Constantine, who has been in there for over a dozen years? Or do we want Joe Nian? That's a tough one. Dow is kind of the big money establishment guy. Court of Appeals, nonpartisan office. You can vote for James R. Verellen or blank, write-in. I usually avoid those. Peter Steinbrück is running for Port of Seattle Commissioner position number 4. I believe he's the incumbent. His father, of course, Peter used to serve on the Seattle City Council, and he missed his chance to run for mayor. His father was the one that saved the Pike Place Market from developers. Was a noted Seattle architect. Okay, here's the good one. City of Seattle mayor, nonpartisan office. Do you vote for Bruce Harrell, who is the big money establishment candidate, or Lorena Gonzalez, who has many progressive ideas? She's not perfect, but I love a PAC sponsored by, I believe, the UFCW 21, United Food and Commercial Workers. They sent every voter in the city a 1-ounce packet of dried cherries with a mailer for her. And that's, it would be illegal for her campaign to do that, but a PAC is allowed to do those things. And I thought that was great. And they're very tasty too. And of course, Lorena grew up in Eastern Washington picking cherries. At least for part of her life. Bruce Harrell was a seat-warming buffoon on the Seattle City Council, really for 12 years? For how many years? He accomplished nothing. Bruce's biggest accomplishment was to stand by his man and to back up Mayor Ed Murray until the day he resigned. Literally stood by him until the day he resigned. Of course, he resigned because he's an alleged pedophile sex offender. So it's funny that around my neighborhood in Seattle, you got a lot of Bruce Harrell signs, and these are the same people that had Ari Hoffman signs up a couple elections ago. He's another right-wing tool. Bruce's biggest donors are, of course, the real estate cabal, the people that actually run this city. And that includes the tech guys. Bill Gates owns a ton of real estate. Jeff Bezos and Amazon, that they control a huge chunk of downtown real estate. So we'll be voting for Lorena. Erica C. Barnett. We did a podcast about her sobriety book. She discovered on Facebook that Bruce had this fundraiser with 200 of his closest, richest friends at the China Harbor. It's a big Chinese restaurant banquet hall with mediocre food. Not one person is wearing a mask. That was great. And then, so because he was so embittered by that scoop, there was a debate in which he said he's not going to show up unless Erica C. Barnett was replaced as moderator. City of Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes got voted out. He got voted out from the left and voted out from the right. Nicole Thomas-Kennedy, who kicks ass, NTK all day on Twitter, openly abolitionist person. You know, the city attorney handles misdemeanors, and there's so many people that get arrested and thrown in jail, or there were under Pete Holmes, because they shoplift a sweater from Goodwill. This is a very courageous person. You know, the right wing has caught a hold of this story. She's been featured on Fox News and stuff on, hate TV. Running against her is Ann Davison, who's sort of a right-wing twit, although she says she voted for Obama. On her Twitter, there's a picture of her with Mike Solon, who's this murderous psychopath, head of the Seattle Police Union. She's standing there with a thin blue line flag. I mean, not quite as offensive as the Confederate flag or a Trump flag, but that is a flag of fascism and racism. So NTK all day. I didn't think at first that she would have a chance, but Ann Davison is so incompetent and inexperienced. Nicole Thomas-Kennedy is a public defender. Ann Davison maybe has never tried a case. Okay, then we're going to vote for Teresa Mosqueda, City Council, position 8. Nikita Oliver, position 9. Absolutely. They are a great progressive, just wonderful on Twitter, too. So, basically, the mayor's race is, a competent, leaning, progressive Democrat versus a corporate Republican disguised as a Democrat. Who's going to bring new blood to City Hall, even though he's been on the city council for 12 years. NTK all day, baby. Okay, that's it for Doomed Planet, the Obituary Podcast, Season 2, Episode 63, Athens County Drug Overdoses. We're going to do another episode for Halloween this month. And I might actually write a script and come up with something fun. Goodbye.
Seattle is starving for effective leadership, a mayor who makes no excuses and acts with urgency. I will unite our communities around our progressive values to make real progress on the challenges we face. My father was one of City Life's first black union linemen. My Japanese mother was cruelly interned during World War II. Their fight for equity and justice informed my legal career, standing up for workers and small businesses. It drives my public service to work for you.
Yes! I'll kill everyone!
The homelessness crisis must be our first priority.
Oh, and the blood. The buckets and buckets of blood.
Finger pointing is frustrating and inhumane. As mayor, no more excuses. I will take charge and take responsibility for action. Here's my plan.
Follow me into darkness. I see deep into your psyche. You love the sickness, the torment, the horror. You're quite sick, my friend. I have the cure for your madness.
Here's my plan.